Hello, hello, friends. It's me, Cynthia, and Marty, and Azalea. She's on the other side of the camera. I'm making pumpkin pies in the kitchen, and we are Greengirlstudios, and this is our Wednesday edition of Magic Hour. Thank you for joining us today. If there's anyone, before I get too far along, could someone give me a thumbs up if I need to adjust the rabbit ears and toggle the internet switch if that's a thing. And by that I mean I go tell my son to go do something with the internet. So if anyone can say if I need to adjust the sound quality or image. Not that I can. All I can do is hit the internet. All right, my friends. So we've been having super good weather. I didn't ride my bike today, but it was a near thing. Almost spent half the day riding my bike instead of getting the house ready. We're having Friendsgiving tomorrow, and we've been doing it for a long time. Partly because I got tired of traveling for the holidays. My folks live in Orlando, so going down to Orlando for Thanksgiving, I don't know if anyone else has done this, but driving down and then sitting in traffic on I-4. I think I was trapped on there one time for like 4 hours. It took 4 hours or something to get down, like, not very far. That was I think I was outside of Daytona. I was like, what is going on? Everybody was going on to Florida, turns out. So I was like, that's the last time I'm doing that. That was several years ago. I was like, I'm not traveling for Thanksgiving and Christmas ever again. I got some trauma. I'm not going to do it. Oh, Cecilia says, love the necklace. Thank you. And that it's perfect. Thank you, Cecilia. This necklace, actually, I just got this. Nancy, I don't know if I should say her last name. Nancy G in Albuquerque sent this to me, and another necklace and a couple of other treasures. And I wanted to show those here in a second. But I loved it. Nancy sent me a picture and said, hey, do you think you might want something like this? I do not have any daughters that would enjoy, and I thought you might. And I, of course, said, of yes, and I have, I can share with my daughter. So that's a good feeling for me. And it's kind of has, I feel like Amber has kind of like healing vibes, even though, oh, Cecilia says, my precious cat died yesterday. That's terrible. That's like the most terrible news. They're so wonderful and precious, but that, they're, what is a good word for that? Being ephemeral? What is it, Marty? I hope you never die. It's like, well, we all have to do that someday. I'm sorry, Cecilia, that's terrible for you. I hate that. I hate that story. I've been there. I had a cat named Frick, and he was 32 pounds at his heaviest. He wasn't a fat cat, but he was a big, heavy-duty cat. I mean, he was big. Like no one could believe that. People would be like, what kind of animal is that? Like, he's an American Shorthair, just a regular cat. But I put a ruff around his neck, fake fur ruff, and he looked really wild and amazing. And he lived a really long time, so I was very fortunate. It was a good day. So today I thought that we could see how to uh, get some wax things done. Hey, daughter. She's like banging around in the kitchen and yes. I can't hear myself. I'm sorry. Just you could. Sorry. She's not used. She's can't hear from here. It's like all I can hear is the like kitchen sounds. Oh, Nancy, there's Nancy. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for wearing the necklace. I love the necklace, Nancy. I love it. I love amber. And I love how amber looks with this evergreen color. I love it. I think it's beautiful. And also, Nancy, I love the other necklace you sent. It needs to be restrung. This was the other piece. Look at this beautiful turquoise. Looks like Afghanistan turquoise to me. Isn't this beautiful? This looks like something from Nepal. I have a couple pieces like this, mostly this part of it. I don't have the full necklace, but with these hollow form beads, silver beads, they're really beautiful. This type of turquoise I've carved in the past, and it carved like this piece. That one would be a delight to carve, a real delight. So I look forward to restringing it and maybe adding a couple things. Doesn't that look like there's a perfect place to add some kind of an amber or a coral piece? There's some little spots there where there's some antique coral right at the top. Aren't those beautiful? I love it. I love things made like this. It has definitely has an amulet feeling. And when they flip this, I'm going to show the other stuff you brought. Oh, I see my friend Clem. Hello, 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 my friends. Hello, Debbie. Oh, hello, Pat. Pat says gorgeous. Yes, I think so. And this amber is really, you guys have to see the color. It's so pretty. Woo. I'm sorry, my hair on that. Look at that color. Isn't that delicious? I think it's really beautiful. And then hand knotted. It reminds me, I feel like it's Baltic amber. There's a booth in Tucson that I get my Baltic amber, but the last few years when I've gone to the booth, it's been super expensive. So like Zelia and I were looking at these bracelets. It's like, you buy everything bulk, right? Everything is wholesale. And they had a thing of bracelets, and I think it was like 6 of them, like stretchy bracelets. And they wanted like $600 for it. I was like, are you joking me right now? And they were like, price went up. And sometimes that happens mostly when you can't get the rough stock is what they call it, rough stock. And that can happen with any stone. I say that. It's not going to happen with something that's very common, like what's super common? Garnet. That's probably never going to happen with garnet. Eventually every mineral is going to someday, there's like, everything's finite, right? There's nothing that's infinite. Nancy says, you will make magic with it. Yeah, although I will wear it for a while. I will say I'm going to wear it for a while and kind of feel that soak in the magic. But this was exactly the type that I love to kind of, when I make a magic or treasure necklace, I like to stack this type of shape in column or in together. I think it looks good together. Or like a few pieces, and then sandwich it with a round or another long shape, just to offset this sort of step stone shape. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Okay, I'm going to flip the camera around. Giving it a few minutes. All right. Go a little lower. All right. Oh, and here's some other things that Nancy put in here. We could take a closer look. Oh, Clem says your shawl looks cozy. Thank you. I made it. I don't remember the pattern name, but it took me forever. I'm not like Azalea, who can knit, and then you're not even going to believe how fast she can knit. It's almost unreal. And I thought my friend Sarah was a fast knitter. Azalea is a fast knitter. Azalea's really fast. Like, you should see how fast her little fingers are flying when she's knitting. She just finished. Well, you have a little bit more to go on the hat for your dad. Mm-hmm. Can I show it? And here's some other treasures. Look at this. How pretty this is. Oh, Melanie says, hello, everyone. I can crochet now. Thank you, Cynthia. I love that story. That's good news, Melanie. I'm so proud of you. What a good feeling. Look at this. This is something Azalea made. This is a hat for Greg. He's going to wear this during his open mics. He likes to play his guitar and sing here in Asheville. And he thought, oh, I have it upside down. You guys look at this. It's a fish hat. Look at that fin. And here's the head part goes in here.
It's supposed to look like it's biting your head.
Yeah,
Well, side fins are going to go here and an eye is going to go there. or eyes.
Yeah. And this was all made with different kinds of scrap yarns. Look at all the different textures and colors. Good job, daughter.
Thank you.
It looks like it's biting. Look at all that color, all that in there. It's very thick.
Yeah, it's gonna be warm.
Nice and
I had to size up.
plush.
I'm gonna finish it actually right now. And right. We're sitting here just finish these fins real quick.
Yeah. And so here's some of the stones. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate it. This is gonna be absorbed into my collection. Love it. This feels like snowflake obsidian. That's what I would guess. Sodalite. Or, yeah, sodalite. But I see glints of pyrite. So it could be lapis. And this is a really beautiful jasper. A really pretty one. I think this one's called flower jasper. And they call it that because it looks kind of like a field of flowers. And it's like a really, I feel like it's kind of a, I don't know, if I found that, I would be overjoyed. Seems like a lot of fun. And the last thing, let me see, there's another thing that you sent in there. So I've been reading my friend's book. My friend just published this book, or she was just published this, I think it came out beginning of November. I pre-ordered it. And my friend Tracy Ball, we kind of trauma bonded over 2020 when everybody was locked in the house, we became friends on the internet. And I learned a lot from Tracy, a lot about myself and about just, she's a very, very smart, very like warm person. And her book is kind of a, well, let me just read it. When Your Mother Calls You Home is an autobiographical travel memoir that weaves the author's painful experiences with domestic violence, abuse, heartbreak, a near-death experience, loss, and trauma with the beautiful tales of heart-opening human connection and the cultural exchange that unfolded on her solo journey from Ecuador to the United Kingdom, on to Italy, and finally India. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, I really like her, and I just started the book, and that brings me to the beautiful bookmark that Nancy drew. I think you drew this, Nancy. It looks like hand-drawn. Thank you for sending this. I appreciate it. But it's beautiful. I can put it in my new book and not have to use the dust jacket to be the bookmark. Anyway, I cannot say, I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful and beautiful book. Her photos, and let me see if it says her Instagram. You can, if you want to check out her Instagram. Let me see if it shows it on here somewhere. Yeah, too bad it didn't put her Instagram right on there, easily found. But anyway, I'll share it later if you're interested in following. She has a pretty good following on Instagram for photos. All right. Oh, I wanted to share one other thing. What else did I want to share, Azalea? I had so many things. Well, I have a big plate full of necklaces that I have to put clasps on them. But one of the things I did, you all have been following along now for the past few years. You've probably seen me working. I've shown different elements of this. This is the game I've been working on for a while. And these are the original pieces. They're painted on little wooden discs. But here's the pieces. Let's see if I can get this. So anyway, I redid the pieces. Oh, I see my friend Connie. Hey, Connie. Connie says, "What is that beautiful necklace?" Well, my friend Nancy, how do you pronounce your last name, Nancy? Granart? I don't know how to pronounce that. And should I even say it on this? I don't know. Who knows if that's acceptable? I never know about saying first and last name. Some people are kind of strange about it, but I don't want to break the rules. So these are in halfway position. Zelia, he was wondering where his trait. This is the top of the card, and these are at probably 75%, well, not 75, 25% larger. So I want them to be about 3 inches, so these will reduce down to this size. So anytime you're working, this is just the test one. If you were to make this to actual size, you would leave about 1/4 of an inch of what's called bleed, so that if you're printing, you have plenty of room to cut. So you're not like right there and it has like white showing. So this is the top of the card. So when you flip it, I have to line it up so that it's like this. And that's a dark, it kind of looks like a succulent, but it's supposed to be a water lily. So here are the different water lily. There's a little salamander. So these guys will be like this on there. Let me move some of the stuff out of the way. And then I did this one. And here's another dragonfly. They're different colors. Look at this. A little fly. A blue water lily. Here's a pink one. Here's a water beetle. And this is a white water lily. And I'm not done with these last few. I might redo this snapping turtle, not snapping turtle, it's called a red ear slider. I used to have turtles like this. When I was younger, I had one in a turtle tank. It's just a regular tank. It's in with a, kind of like a vivarium where you have a place for them, like a rocky place that's outside of the water. And here's a goldfish. But I might change it, because this one, I don't know. I'm not 100%. But this will have a beautiful pattern on the back. So it have more texture and color. And I need a couple more for the game. And I've shown the front. Let me show you how large. So this is the original size of the watercolor for the cover. And then here is the print. It's a lot smaller, but great print quality. Am I right? Look at that. Isn't that cute? It's very close to the original. They did a great job at our local print shop. Anyway, I'm going to do the name on the final, but this is how everything starts on watercolor paper. Sketchbook, many sketchbook drawings, many hours of fooling with pieces. So that's happening soon. And I'm going to leave work. I'm going to leave room on the cover so that right here, this little spot here will have the sticker that says #1 game of the world, of the universe. That's what we're going to put in there right here. You guys can you see it? World's #1 game in gold. That's right. Although when I look at this one, this needs work, doesn't it? It's kind of, I don't know if I like that. I keep fooling with it because it doesn't, there's something about it I don't like, but I'm not sure what. This one also needs work. So these are the mock-up stage 2. So however many mock-ups it takes. It takes many apparently. All right, let's do something. Okay, so some folks have asked the process of wax. How do you make a tree? I'm not going to do the tree part today because you need the first part, which is these guys. This is the part we need to make a tree. Clem says, I can see it. I'm ready to buy it. Put me on the waiting list, please. Thank you, my friends. Everybody I've shown to, they were like, I can totally see the vision. You were going to do great with this. And then I feel a frisson of delight. And then it encourages me to keep on trucking with it. So you never know what's going to happen, right? Like I follow several people that are, let me turn this light on. Need as much light as possible. I have a new light and stand, and it's really good. I'm so happy I got it. Ordered it just recently. Worked out great. Let's get a little closer so you can see what's what over here. All right, so in this is denatured alcohol. And these guys that are filling up this little tin here, these are what we're going to make a tree out of. And you'll see, put my optivisors on. All right, so this is Azalea's clasp. Make sure that it is actually, in fact, doing autofocus. Okay, that's one. Now, if you want this in pewter, then we would just spin these guys in our vulcanized rubber molds. But to turn these into silver or bronze or shibuichi, you need to put them on a tree. And a tree is where you have a central post, a nice thick piece that the wax can flow into. Like this is part of, like this flows here. And so when you have the central core, that's where the hot metal will flow in. So what I need to do to these guys is I need to clean them up. Boy, the wind is high. Can y'all hear that? It's too high, I think. Let me get a little closer. So something like this, I need a bunch of clasps for these guys. They're sitting here waiting. I have a whole mess of these guys ready to go that are just waiting for a clasp. And this is the clasp that I made for them. I did a variation of this little firefly and this little goldfish, but you can see that one hole here is plugged. So that will need to be doctored up. So if there's any flaws in the wax, this wax part, it's easier to clean it up if it's in the wax stage and not in the metal stage. Because, I mean, you know, metal is a lot harder to work than wax. That makes sense, right? This is new. We made like a few in pewter and they seem to work pretty well. I'm going to try them in bronze and silver. I have that pearl necklace that's waiting on a clasp. I think this one will be a really good one for it. So I'm going to clean up a few of these. And what we have is space for one flask. So I have enough silver to burn out for that. So what I will do is go through here and pick my favorites. Probably a lot. I feel like, you know, I sell a lot of necklaces with this one on there. And with the alligator seems to get a lot of love. And this is what it looks like in silver. Isn't that cute? Look at the little tail, how it goes kind of up a little bit. It's adorable. I think I'm going to put it on this. I think this will be a good piece for it. And the way these work, you only need one side. And that's one of the reasons I like it. You don't have to go looking for another piece. Let's see. What's Azalea eating over there? I'm just curious. What's that?
I'm testing something. I had leftover pumpkin pie filling, so I put it in a mug and put it in the microwave.
Oh, is that right?
We'll see if it's good or if the texture is nasty.
She's got a long-handled spoon. She's delicately scooping that out like she's eating the best and finest gelato. Oh, I see our friend Kaylee. Hello, hello. Okay, so I think this one will be a good one to put on there. Maybe it's got a Herkimer diamond right there. Let's see how we'll test it. See how it looks. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll figure out how many necklaces I have, and then I'll count it. And then if I have a certain amount, I can kind of guess. And it would look like this. I could finish this up now. If those of you want to see me put this clasp on there, say in the comment section. Otherwise, I'll show you guys how I clean these up. So I'm going to look right now. My eyes are on the comment section. And if anyone wants to see how to do this, it takes like 10, 15 minutes. Not with this thick cord, probably not as long. But while I'm watching those comment section, if anybody's interested, or y'all see me do it so many times before, you don't need it. Okay, I'm looking. I see nothing so far. Okay, I'm moving on. Unless there's... Let's give it a minute. Anyway, that's what this looks like. Focus, you.
The verdict is that it needs some sort of binder because it's very wet.
It's very wet.
It's not what you would. It's not pumpkin pie texture.
Look what Max made me last year. Every year he makes me a birthday frog. This year I'm still waiting for my birthday frog, but this was last year's, and I put it out on my desk so I could look at it and think about how cute it is and how my son needs to make me my 51st birthday frog. So that we'll sit him right here. He can watch me work. Oh, hello, Kathy. All right, so I do not work wax work like anybody else except for maybe my friend Bob. Bob works the same. I learned from Bob Burkett to do wax work. Years ago, he uh, he was like, "Oh, I see you make your masters out of polymer clay. What does that lunacy look like?" He was so anti that process. He couldn't even hardly believe it that I did that. Oh, hello and happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Yes, it's probably one of my all-time favorite holidays because it's a holiday that's you're thinking of it's
You're eating.
feasting and you're filling your heart with gratitude. Both of the things that I like to do. Just today, I was watching Azalea fill orders, and we were watching old episodes of Martha Stewart on YouTube. It just kind of autoplayed, and it was funny because I told Azalea, I said, you know what? When I was a little bit older than you, I would have Martha playing on in the background when it came out. Like it used to come on like 10 o'clock in the morning, and that is what I'd have playing while I was working. That was pretty fun. So on this one, I'm going to doctor them up. I go across and I feel its body and I feel it and I get any kind of flash off. Flash is where the mold might have made kind of a little line. And then I'm going to poke his eyes so they show up nice and dark. It's kind of unnecessary, but I like it when their eyes have that little bit of detail. Not every time I get it, but if it needs it. Okay, there's one there. And let's see what else. So this is the clasp that I made for Azalea. Here's we finally have waxes of it. It took me a minute, but I'm going to make a bunch of these because I think this will be good, especially in silver, because it's kind of dainty. It'll be kind of a hard metal. And so what you do is you rub your fingers against it. Sometimes people will use a piece of pantyhose, and the nylons will, if you take a piece, you can rub it back and forth and it gets off any flash. And so you line them up. Actually, I should get a piece of paper or a little tray to put it. I'll line them up here. Oh, okay, yes. Happy Thanksgiving to those that celebrate. Yeah, there's no reason, that you shouldn't have gratitude. I mean, maybe not the whole pilgrim thing because, that's it's a little awkward, I think. After you learn a little bit of the history, it's kind of weird. Because, I don't know why I didn't know this, but y'all are probably like, what is going on? How come you didn't know this? But I always thought that the pilgrims were the first people. I was taught that they were the first. And then I've been listening to this book called A Long and Strange Voyage. And that's not the case. Like the Vikings stopped by and tried to put a foothold in the U.S. before it was the U.S. And they just couldn't do it. Turns out those supply lines were kind of, that's kind of a big deal when you're getting your supplies from, Scandinavia. You're not going to win, which was kind of interesting to me because I didn't know that was even a thing though. And sometimes I don't usually like to listen to or read histories because it's kind of a little tiny bit depressing. But, sometimes it's good. I mean, there, and I just did, you see that? So you get into an assembly line. I'm going to do a few more of these. Get off all the flash. Sometimes you might have to scrape them with another, like a little file. And I like to do that too. I have these teeny files that I got from American Science and Surplus or Scientific Surplus. I don't remember exactly. And what I'm looking for when I put my optivisors on is I'm looking for any holes or places on the wax that are imperfect. And then, sometimes you can do this to shine it up again. Any tool marks. If you go too aggressively, though, you can actually melt your details, and then you have to chuck it back in the wax pot. There's another one. Let me get in here with this. Love it. Anyway, I told Azalea, I was like, I'm really grateful that I have you to fill orders and take care of that part because it's a lot of work. And that part for me is not the easiest. This one kind of needs, if they need a lot of work, then I will usually throw them back because sometimes it's more work than it is to press out a whole nother one. And I use these to take takes a lot of precision because you can easily mess up. If you're wondering, some folks wonder and they say, how come the silver costs more or how come the bronze costs more? Bronze is not expensive. Why is bronze more? Because it's the labor. And what you're seeing me do right now has to be done to every single silver or shibuichi. The labor is where the cost is. And the metal, if it's silver, of course, I mean, the silver costs have gone up significantly in the last year or so. So it's kind of interesting why that happens. I remember when I started, people were complaining about the silver prices way back when. And I didn't think it was that crazy. I thought it was pretty good at the time. And I think it was like $7. Yeah, I think it was $7.
Now it's like almost 50.
Yeah, you never know. It's things like that. How do you guess? And you're like, hey, should have I bought more? But you always imagine that it's going to go down. That's the thing. You never know. And the people that I know that work with gold, I've been hearing people say, oh, I used to work with gold. And then I kind of feel like, hey, maybe I should sell that gold that I just bought. And by just bought, I mean,
It's been a while.
it's been a while. It's been a minute. I bought that gold and I thought, hey,
It's been over a year.
It's been over a year. Ah, now I just filled that one. So I got to do it again. So you can see each one of these takes a minute. And if it's not perfect, you just toss it back and you redo it. In the wax pot, I mean. Because you can't spend a long time. If you spend too long, then you can't charge like this piece. How much? You can't charge as much as like every amount of time that you spend on it, I guess. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, you're supposed to. You're supposed to do that. But I don't know. I kind of price things like I'm going to buy it. So people tell me, hey, that's not. Oh, Kayla says, in school, I paid $4 an ounce. Wow. Yeah, Kaylee, that's right. The Vikings settled in Newfoundland and Labrador in 1021. They were the first. I was just reading about that, but it didn't seem like they could keep it going. Could you imagine if that was like what would we wouldn't have a normal Thanksgiving with the whole pilgrim thing. I don't know. It's interesting, like that part of history. Generally, I like natural history more than human history. Human history stresses me out. It's like wars and how many people died, and that stresses me out. So but I'll talk about animal and earthly history all day long. All right, that was, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's one more design. No, I think that's it. I wanted one star. I have a star button. But we talked about pre-ordering with these guys, but I don't think I will because I'm not sure. I need to finish up a bunch of necklaces. And when you have, I just need to make some to finish this lot out because I have people waiting. I have a few stores that have been asking for the, finish necklaces. So let me see, a little bit of another thing to show. That was pretty fun. Now for the next thing, Azalea said, what are you doing today? I said, we're going to do a variety of things. So this part, because it's kind of boring to watch someone make a whack, like if I don't have the tree to put it on, which I could do, but for whatever reason, I did not grab a stump. And when I say stump, it's like a thick. This is a sprue and stump. It's like it's like a tree trunk and a limb, and you make a tree by putting these on the tree trunk. And then that's how many you have in your batch. You make what's called an investment mold, and then you burn it out. And that's where you get the lost wax. You're burning out your wax. I started this one. I have a lot of rounds, which I have a little bit of an obsession with, especially clears. And this one is a head cap or bead cap set that I'm hoping to have finished. Stick this one here. Maybe I'll finish that up. It looks pretty good. All right. I'm going to set this away, and then I'm going to move on to another project. I told Azalea, I said, let's paint some, if you wouldn't mind, Azalea, I'm grabbing that set of the vintage paints for me that are on the stairwell right there. We can move to that program. We have about 25 minutes, and I wouldn't mind painting my newest mermaid. I finished this. This is the one that just released this week. Not this week, 2 weeks ago. And I've been meaning to paint it, but I have not had a chance to get the paints out, get everything ready, and do it. And it's not a hard thing to do at all. These are my paints. I keep them in this art bin thing. And I have the vintage patinas. They're called patinas. They're great for painting any kind of metal. All right, I have some brushes here. I have everything I need. Here's the water. Cool bead cap, says Pat. Oh, thank you. I love that story. I'm glad you like them. All right. I think I'll paint this one with some greens and blue. Now, these are these are the old patina paints. Some of you have seen these. I had them, and I used them for a long time. They're a little thicker than this type. These are the newer Ultimate Paints. I kind of don't like that they went and made the amount smaller. Like, why did it go from like 15 milliliters to 9? I don't like that story, but what do you do? Anyway, I told Wendy from Vintage, I said, listen, you guys need to make the ultimate paint, but you need to make it where you don't need it. Like, why do we have these strange mixes? And she's like, people don't want to, they don't want to mess with learning how to mix. And I said, but if you have if you have pure color, then it's not a big deal. And so we went around and around about that. I like this color. It'll be pretty. I use lids. Let me see if there's a lid handy. Let's try this lid. It's sitting right here. And I'm going to shake these guys up. Actually, would you mind? I don't like this one with a color on it. Daughter, can you get me one? I don't see what happened to my usual lid. Mixing is better. Yes, I would agree with that. Like a lid that I usually use, one of the plastic lids. Or I can get it and you can chit chat for a few seconds while I'm doing this. Little daughter. Yeah, mixing is better because you have more control. I bought a bunch of these. You know what? I got some at Hobby Lobby. They have these mixes, and I just wanted to check them out. You're supposed to shake them good, like nail polish has a little ball in there. And usually what I do is I get all the ones I want to use, and I do this. This is like the fastest way. And this is why I was like, Wendy, listen, nobody's going to use like whatever color that is. What is that color? Purple jade. Well, I don't know. Maybe they will. And I guess, is that good enough? We'll do this one. I have that little, I'm excited to paint the new dragon as well. Because you can use pigment powders too. Let's hit it with a little bit of this. Maybe a little bit of yellow. Let's see what happens. I have this little thing that I leave in the container. It's this. It's pretty smart. That way you can do this with it. I don't know about everybody else. We're having Friendsgiving. Oh, do you see that? And I have to clean the house when I'm done and make the stuffing. And Greg has the turkey. We're starting to get all that ready for our Friendsgiving feast. You know, sometimes we don't always do a turkey. Sometimes we'll do something else. But like one time Greg did a turducken, and that was pretty crazy. It's pretty good. But we have a turkey tonight, or for tomorrow. And green bean casserole. It sounds like this, like very similar or standard Thanksgiving fare. But sometimes it's good because I don't eat it very often. It's kind of rich food.
Oh, literally once a year.
Well, sometimes, no, like Christmas. Sometimes we'll do that.
Oh.
Yeah, Christmas we do a turkey.
Yeah, I did not know that. I do not remember that.
Well, what do we usually do for Christmas? Because I recall turkey.
I don't know.
That's a little bit of that green and yellow mixed together. Now, I didn't do anything special to this. You could do a wet nap wipe. I think of this Little Mermaid as like a little Swananoa. I call it a little Swananoa Sprite water nymph type thing. I like to imagine it as like this is like real life. Although with this green, this little thing she's wearing makes me think of Kermit the Frog. This little thing she's got on her little necklace is exactly like what Kermit wears. And now that I see it, I can't unsee it. But it's so cute, even if she has a Kermit collar on. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with it. I had a Kermit collar when I was in college. And I didn't make it myself, if that was your next question. How pretty that's coming out. Okay, I'm almost done. I need another one. What am I going to paint next? The dragon. I have one over in my bag, I think. I love these painted. Now you could, if you don't like them painted like me, which is, I'm having a hard time. My brain is just not like, who wouldn't want this painted? Why wouldn't you want anything painted? It looks so much better painted. I think it looks cute. That's the green on there, the green gold. And on the screen, it looks more golden, but it's like this. It's like the fluorescent. And if I give it a minute, I can go on and take another round at layering. Maybe I'll do another layer. That's how I did these frogs here. If you look at this, it's a similar technique. But this is layered with several different, like this is, I did on this right here. And this one's this one. But if you do several layers, I wanted to be able to use these. So I did matte layers. And if you do matte and then if you do gloss and then a matte, you get this kind of like, it becomes satin finish. It's pretty nice. On its own with no doctoring and no adding of any other glazes, like this is a glaze that I mixed myself. And I think I'll release that information. This is a pearlescent peach, but this one is a matte and a little bit of a satin mix. So it's not a true matte, which can be kind of flat looking, which is good to paint on. But because sometimes if you have it where it's a shiny, glossy, you can't paint more layers because it will kind of resist. So this one I think is shiny. So we'll leave that one there. Oh, hello, Cindy. Cindy says, Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Yes, happy Thanksgiving, my friends. This cat has been very patient. He's probably been wondering, where is the snack? I did, in fact, forget his snack. So I'm going to, 1 second, grab this thing over here. These are some that I've been painting all week to put into necklace making. You see I have a bunch of them going. Sometimes I paint them where there is just a light amount of paint, just a small glaze. That's the pearlescent peach glaze. I don't know if you can see that, pearlescent peach. That's a good use for that. So if you wanted to give to kind of, I think it makes the pewter look a little less like pewter. It gives it a look like silver. But, and that's, I'm using, it's funny is I'm sitting here using the mouse and I'm trying to like point at it, not realizing that you guys can't see where my mouse is pointing. Right in here, that's this. Right in here. The iridescent peach. And so you're getting a little bit of that hint, and it almost has a kind of a liver of sulfur feeling. So to get that, I'm going to shake this one up. Boy, all the goodie is right down at the bottom, and you really do need to shake the living daylights out of this one. Kaylee says, I have a hard time painting your components. I think of it as a painting over a lovely work of art, but if you can, I guess I can. You know what? Sometimes I don't add that much to it. And if you look, this just really, and if you didn't like it, you could always, soak it off or something. I mean, it's not impossible to remove. But don't they look so pretty when they've been done like this? I can't resist. If I could do all of them, it's just not practical to, make a living. But it's nice if I can do it for like a necklace or something. If I'm going to make a necklace, because you can charge a little bit more to cover the time of doctoring it up. I'm looking for something over here. I misplaced it.
The scrounging of every live stream.
Huh?
Every live stream, there's some scrounging.
I wouldn't be alive if I wasn't scrounging. Well, I went and found a bunch of stuff, and I put them into my convenient little pouch. And now I can't find the pouch. Isn't that fun? And then when I'm done with the live, it'll jump out at me and say, surprise, I was right under your hand. Is it
that little leather pouch?
That little leather pouch. I fill it up with, oh my gosh. Thank you.
Sitting on the corner.
It's sitting right on the corner. Oh, okay. It says, I love how you painted the moth. I may paint mine. Yeah, I like painting them. Look at this one that I painted. I was going to do more, but I think it looks good on its own. And that's 2 layers of this. The, wherever I set that down, the peach pearlescent. And look at this one this is a bronze one that I did a light coating of orange. I think it looks good. And the other thing that's good about painting them, especially with materials like bronze that can turn and they can darken. Sometimes when you put a sealant, it can protect them from turning. Now this is one that I did pigment powders and pearlescents. So this is like a double whammy. And you can see how fun this is one that took a little more time because it's several layers. But I feel like it only adds to the look. Oh, Wendy. Wendy says, sorry, late to the party. Wendy, you're going to have a surprise in your package.
I just
Wendy, just so you know. So you have something to look forward to. Wendy was the winner of our last, when we were doing a deep dive in the comments section and picking and choosing, because we did not have the app that you have to pay extra for. It's like $25 a month.
We did a random number generator.
It did a random number generator, but it bothered me. I'm like, that's more than YouTube Premium. What the heck?
Yeah, because you have to pay, because it's usually hand in hand with another, because we use Restream, and Restream doesn't have their own
Yeah,
giveaway
Restream
thing.
doesn't have a giveaway.
But
So
if
you
you
go
want
to
to do a
third
giveaway
party.
thing, you have to go to another. You have to use it like StreamYard. You could use their giveaway thing, but you had to pay for StreamYard, and StreamYard was going for some $80 a month, which is outrageous.
Yeah, they changed their thing. That's why we switched. Well, we switched because we were always having problems.
Yeah, we always had issues. It
I didn't
said
see
it
that that was
synced
a
up with
silver
Camo.
one. I'm going to
but
sneak that
anyway,
one over there.
It's okay.
Silver.
Though. It doesn't matter.
We're
Things
gonna
are better
use-
now.
Yeah. Oh, Wendy says thank you. Wendy likes it. Wendy says thank you so much. She's happy. Well, I knew that you would be happy. So that's good times. I was just looking at this thinking, hey, maybe I'll melt this down. Sometimes I will tell you, y'all, that if there's a big honking piece like this, there's a lot of grams of silver. If I don't sell it within a certain amount of time, that's a lot of money held up in this. So if it's been sitting for an amount of time, then I'm going to discount it. And then after that, I have to melt it down. But I would rather not have to melt it. But that's on the table. I have, I think, 2 or 3 of these. If you're interested, they have, I think, a few days. It's expensive. That's why. It's a lot of silver. If you feel it, it's like, I don't know how many grams, but it's a lot.
Oh no!
Azalea has a pie in the oven.
Pie with a slightly burned crust.
Isn't that always the way it goes with a pie? Sometimes that's how it happens. Oh, you know what I'll do? I just saw this over here. So this, you don't want to use too much water. That's one of the things. Anytime I rinse my brush, oh, sorry, I have that like gross paint water up there.
Why the fart do you even own mitts if they just instantly burn your finger?
Wendy says, that's the focal on my fall necklace. It's heavy. Yes. Well, there's a lot of metal on that. This is the peach, and that is what I was doing for, where'd it go? Here it is. For this subtle little liver of sulfur look. To get that, you get the peach there, or layer it with red too, because that looks good too. And when they say red, they're talking about that highlight. You see that little glimmer right there? That's what they're calling the peach. And it's not that concentrated. You get one that will look good with that. Well, we'll just try it on this. Let's just try it here and we'll see what it looks like. It's pretty cool. We'll try it I'll probably do another round. And it's subtle. I'll say that. It's not one that jumps out at you, but it's pretty cool if you want to seal the surface and you don't want any kind of changeability on your pieces. And sometimes with different metals, it can need to be clean. And that can look like, tarnish or smudges or something. And to remove that, you can just, you can even use a paper towel. Kaylee says, slightly burnt pie and cookies taste good.
I know, slightly burnt and thus also undercooked. Got to go back in the oven, so I got to cover up the edges with aluminum foil so they don't turn black.
Well, sometimes it's tricky. Azalea does make an outstanding pumpkin pie, though. So
the middles do taste good, except that one year where I put too much nutmeg and it was poison. Every year, my pie has a different adventure that it goes through. It should not be learning when you've been doing it for several years. It should be done. You should be able to do it proper.
Let me see. Do I want this? Let's use this. Give it a hint of yellow. That might be pretty. Put that over here. It's subtle, but I think it makes it look like liver of sulfur sometimes. The weight would be like, okay, it's not silver because it's light. This pewter's light or lighter than silver. But this wash that I'm putting on it'll stay like this kind of coloration. Looks pretty good. Nice, huh? You can barely see it. If you were to look at it in the light, if you see it, the highlights, I don't know if you can tell. I don't know. Now that I'm looking at it through the screen, I'm looking at it, I'm like, that doesn't look any different. But in real life, you can kind of see that highlight right there. It's a very subtle, it's like a pinkish highlight. If you go in with another round of it, you can actually get it to where it's like this. This is several rounds of the holographic. They call it, this is not holographic, but it's called an interference because you have two different, when you look at it this way, it's one color, and you look at this way, it's color. This is a gold or gold green with a peach. So when you look at it, you get that look. But if you build up the layers, you can get that. And then what I did was I sanded it with a sanding sponge on the highlights and then went over it again. And that will, you know what, some of these, I mean, they're not going to stay like that forever and always. Like, you'll get, you know, like the recessed areas will give you the most color. I'll move these out since I'm not using those right at the moment. I think I might want to try, this copper is a good one. The copper, I would say, is a good buy. And I don't know if everybody's baking out there. Azalea's been baking. Greg's been hard at work. Usually, if it were up to me, I would just be like, what food will we be enjoying? You know? Greg is a good cook, so he's in there. He's been working all day long. I'm looking for the gold. I guess I don't have a gold. I thought I did. Of course I have a gold. What is this? You know what? I don't know who packaged this, but this is a bad idea. Look at this. They put it in, this is resin packaging, or resin. What's going on with that? Oh, the oven might need to be, we have the oldest oven. The oldest. It's super old.
I know I'm doing battle today, for real.
Well, that can happen. That can happen. Old daughter. This is one of my favorite ones. I have this frog and I've been keeping it. You guys know I got frogs on the brain. It's ever since I was born. But this is pigment powder. Look how good that looks. And that's a really high octane, the nicest, heaviest gold pigment powder looks like that with this. And it shines. I think it's actually there's actual metal in it. So that's why it's good. So maybe let's try this one. I think this will be pretty. I don't have my pigment powders out. They're buried in with all of my UV resin supplies. I'm gonna have to start getting that stuff out because I had a customer say, "Hey, you gonna be bringing any pins this year to the Big Crafty?" And in my mind, I was like, "What pins?" And they could tell that by my kind of blank expression. And then I remember that I also make resin pins. And so I'm going to have to get that stuff out later. I think the copper looks good when it's lightly brushed on. Real pretty look. You know, I love painting these. I know, especially this kind of painting when you're seeing me, I'm like just dabbing on color and then wiping it off. Maybe I'll wipe a little bit of that off. So it just sits in the recessed areas. Isn't that good? It's like no downside, just upside. Protects the finish so it stays. If you do a coating on the piece, it's going to oxidize. It's going to stay the same because you're putting a barrier, and the oxidation is dependent on the surface getting air. So if the air can't get to it, then it's going to stay the same. Let's do a little bit of this copper on this lady that I have here. I got this little naked lady. I don't know why I made that. Pretty cute though. She's hanging on and she's covering all of her, her secret spots that nobody can see. Kayla says, I like the pigment powder. What make do you use? I will use any kind of pigment powder. I have gotten some that are made for the nail industry, and that's a whole other kind of can of worms to get into. I bought a bunch of those on Amazon, and it was good times. I use them for a lot of well, like this. You could just take your brush and you can dip it in there and then go. This copper looks good. And it's funny, the copper doesn't look like copper on the surface. It looks more pinky. And that might have been one of the ones I was using to get the liver of sulfur look. Especially if you can get it in the recessed areas. That's key. Because a lot of times, liver or silver pieces, you won't be able to tell sometimes. Like sometimes if I hold them up and they're freshly cast, it's really hard to tell silver from pure. Probably because we use some silver in our alloyed blend. I almost forgot her feet. Pretty cute. It's pretty detailed. Oops. And there's with a little bit of copper. And I kind of loosely applied it. You know, you can do several rounds. Let's see. I have one. Oh, I like painting this one. Any of the moths are fun to paint because there's so much potential of, oh, am I going to add this? If I'm going to give it blue wings, I'm going to add some more to this tail while I'm looking at it. I think I want some of that blue. Now, some of these new vintage colors, they come in these, you'd never be able to name it. They said mermaid fin. They have a good time naming these, but I'm like, I like it when colors are named and you can kind of, that's like a Hues and Clues. You guys all play that game? If someone was saying to me, hey, Thornton, the clue is mermaid fin, what would I name that? I guess I could say that maybe. I would call that glacial. That's what I would name that. And you guys would probably think, yeah, I could name nail polish and paint colors. That's a good job for me. Where'd that little giblet? Oh, here it is. I call a little giblet. And sometimes it causes it to bust out like it did a minute ago. What's happening? What's everybody else making? Is anybody making anything exciting? Oh, I see my friend Ann. Hey, Angered Ann. We made... Yeah, why isn't this coming out? Sometimes you got to get in there. Especially these kinds that have a lot of glitter. The glitter seems to get chunked up and doesn't want to come out. So... Haley says, is it subconsciously or consciously that your figures resemble either you or Azalea? Well, what's interesting is that Azalea and I were talking about manifestation the other day. And at the time, I don't know if I'm going to keep going after this. But I feel like a lot of artists will have to give up. There's a plug in there. Either you're coming out or I'm going to take the whole lid off. Maybe not now. All right, fine. This one, I'm going to have to take the lid off and go after it with another tool. But I squeezed on it and I couldn't get it to budge. So
my eyes are farther apart than yours.
Does it dry quickly? Yes, they dry super fast. Oh, I already have one of that green. Am I shaking that for you? Actually, I love this pink. I love this one. I was so happy when they started making these fluorescents. Dayglow Coral. Delightful. Delicious. Kayla says, I finished a blanket. I gave my jewelry a rest. I plan to start it up soon. I do that for sure because if I had to just make jewelry 24/7, and by 24/7 I mean, you all know what I mean, not 24/7, but a lot, then my fingers, I think, and my wrists would hurt. I can't really do like I used to with crafting, where you're like, I'm going to craft until I'm done with this project. I started doing, well, you can do, you're 20, so you can do that. When you get to your 50s, you're like, listen, I'm going to get to this when I get to it. That looks pretty good. I like this when I added that. It made it that much cuter than it was before. He's kind of disgusted as I go get him something, cat chocolate. He's been patiently sitting there.
Flip the camera for him to eat a chocolate because that's the best part.
I know, but we don't even have it ready.
He stands up on his hind legs. Yeah,
I like how this came out. I'm going to leave a few of these over at the Swan and Noah. Me and Joanne the other day, we snuck over on the Warren Wilson property. She was like, it's public. They have it public. So I was like, all right. I was bold, because she's with me. And we wandered around like we own the place and looked at the pigs. They had a ton of pigs on their property. This is the local college that runs along the Swananoa River. The path that I used to go is gone now. It's washed away, which is not good. It was sad. And then I tried to figure out how to get over there, but then I was like, there's a lot of trespassing that would have to take place, so just leave it and go somewhere else. Wendy says, definitely it's Marty's face and a lot of the animals, that's for sure. That's no surprise. Isn't this Marty right here? That's Marty. Everything is Marty. This one I love to paint it. I probably painted this I don't know how many different times. I love it. And you know what? I sell it all the time. People buy it, so that makes me happy. Because sometimes I'll go kind of hog wild with the colors. And just like here, I'm going pink. That translucent pink, I think, is so pretty. And it's really subtle. Subtle, but in real life, it looks like, I don't know. It's not as, it's more like just a hint of color rather than like being kind of over the top. But I think it looks really pretty. I don't know if you can see it. You kind of have to be here, right? We've been scanning and putting together schedules of what we're going to do on the retreat. I've been telling all my friends about it that are local. Like, listen, we're going to have a good time. Maybe we'll even have a vendor night. Wouldn't that be fun? Like if we had like a little mini show for my friends and had some of my other friends show up, and it was like the melding of the worlds. It's like, how can I make that happen? It seemed like we used to do that for, y'all remember Art Fest back in the day? Anybody out there, those Art Fest people? God, that was such a good time. I heard that they were trying to redo it, or revisit, but I haven't really seen anything definitive on that. But it used to take place in Port Townsend, and getting out there felt like a journey in and of itself, because it was kind of an out of the way place north of Seattle. You had to take a ferry, or you had to go drive around the Sound, Puget Sound, and that was always kind of fun. I've done it both ways, and I liked it. Now let's add a little bit of that. I'm gonna add a little more of that to it. See, right now it's super subtle. I'm gonna add a little bit more. Oh, so beautiful. Keep me posted. Yeah, we would definitely love to have retreats and get-togethers. I follow a gal that does something called a one-day retreat. And I was like, how's that work out? And I guess it's more for like if you live within, I don't know, driving distance. But it looks fun. Like you can take pictures and you have a feast and like a photo parade. It looked like a good time. It was like the lady that did the mushroom hats. Like she's well known on all over the internet that does those like really ornate mushroom hats. It's that same gal. And I was intrigued because it's not very far away from here. And I thought, hey, I might want to go to that. I don't remember where it is now, but anyway, it looked like kind of fun, like if you had a theme, if you're like, oh, maybe I'll do a one day. And a couple of my friends do an afternoon retreat. My friend Mary Ellen does one on poetry, and I love going to hers, and it's like a potluck, and you work on, like, you have prompts for your poems, and I don't know, it just feels really healing to sit in a circle and just, you can share or you can just sit there and watch. And the last time my dad had passed away, this is the last time I went to it. My dad had passed away that month. And she was like, "Oh, you already prepaid. You don't have to go since since you know your circumstances." And at first I was going to be like, "Yeah, maybe I'll pass." But then I was like, "You know what? This might be just what I need." And so I went anyway. And I tell you, I don't know how, it just made it feel like less painful, if that makes any sense. Not to diminish someone's suffering, but I just felt better of sitting in a circle and kind of being able to share with people. I don't know if that makes any sense. All right, let's see what we have here. I did a little bit of the copper on these two. You can see that. This one has the peach. This was from a couple nights ago when I did some of these, and I made some necklaces. It sells pretty good in this finish, so I like to do that one. And this one. So sometimes I end up painting the same ones over and over again because they sell really fast. This one sells pretty fast. I don't even think I have that many, but this one does too in the finish. I did the gold leaf. This is that powder. So, I have my very, very, very favorite that seems like the best is Pearl-X pigments. Those are my very favorites. And I got a set from Amazon that was like, they call them, they're really, really fine granule, and you put them on your nail like this, and then you put clear on top. But they're so fine that you just buff them into place, and they're really shiny. So that one was good. That was well worth the expense because it was like $20. It wasn't a cheap date for, I think the things were like, they weren't very big, very small. Wendy says healing energy. Yeah, I totally believe in the power of humans having the ability to heal each other. I grew up hearing stories of my grandfather in the Philippines, who apparently, this is my mom's words, she told me he could lay his hands on people and heal broken bones and like fix any kind of, he's like one of those healers, it's like, I don't know what the name of it is, but I saw a special on it on Is This True or Is This False? One of those type shows. And they didn't believe it, but a lot of that stuff, people will say it's just psychosomatic. If it happens to work, like it's just, and I'm like, so what's all this just? I mean, that's pretty amazing. If your brain can heal your body, that's nothing to be just and like acting like, oh, it's just this. It's pretty amazing. I'm going to give this another layer of the peach because I think that'll look good. Sometimes, if you noticed, I just dusted the edges of that. I wasn't being real precious. Because one, I mean, you can get in there and really meticulously paint it. Nobody's going to look that close. And it's kind of the technique. You're going in for something that is intentionally going to wear away eventually. Like this is, the only places that's not going to wear away are the areas that do not get wear. So like this area tucked in here, that's not going to really change that much. It's going to look the same. But you can give it can stay bright and not get that dark. Sometimes the metals will look dark. And what that is your finger oils getting on the piece and sticking to it. And then you might be like, wow, it wipes off really easily. Like here's one that's been sitting inside this. Actually, I'm going to do this one here. Got another one. Let's do one more. Clem says, love watching you paint these. Thank you. Let's do this one pink. That'd be pretty. I was going to do pink ones anyway. I have a little bit of that. This is butterfly wing. These do dry fast if you're just getting in here. Kaylee says, I went to a healer. It helped with my pain. Their hands get really hot Afterward, you're very relaxed. Best sleep ever. That sounds pretty awesome. I'd do that. I believe that stuff works. I think the mind is the most powerful healer. Wow, this pink is very subtle. Let's see, can you see that? It's real light. Oh, Carolyn joining us. Just jumped on. Almost forgot it's Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. Michelle said, I would love to get that bird. I put these on the table when I've when I've made all the necklaces. I'll put this out, and I put I don't know. Sometimes I depends if I'm having a special. Sometimes the prices for the shows, I'll do different like specials. That's to get people to come to the show. It's like that little extra incentive, and that way too. So then I don't hear people say, because when you're at a show and you dragged all your stuff, well, not all your stuff, but you drag a bunch of your stuff, and then someone says, do you have a website? And you're like, listen, I just dragged all this stuff over here and got up early and set this table up. Don't talk to me about the website right now. But it happens pretty much every time. But then I'll say, well, you can't get these on the website. And then I have things that are not on the website because it would be like a mountain of work to put every little single thing that I have on the website. There's no way that would ever happen. I was thinking about putting a true pink, but I don't know if I want to do that. So let's just try it. Oh, Clem says, I'm grateful for GGS and our group of friends. Thank you, Clem. I'm grateful for y'all. I'm super grateful. I'd probably be out of business without y'all. And that's not just saying that to be, to be delightful. It's saying it to be truthful, because in this day and age, you have to have the ability to switch things around, because you might not have a revenue source. Like, we had lots of shows back in like 5 years ago. There were so many shows to choose from. We were spoiled for choice. And then all of a sudden we had 0 shows. So I'm very grateful that we managed to get a crowd to watch and come back again and again for years. So y'all, I super appreciate, and that's no exaggeration. I look forward to it every week. Ask Azalea. We talk about all week long. What are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? It's pretty fun. And I said, you know what? Even if I won $1 million, and they said, you never have to do anything. And I am fully aware that $1 million would not actually supply that. That's like 1980s talk. But if the sum of money that was like you could just retire forever, I would still do what I do. But I like what I do. So I'm happy about that. And I found a journal, and I told Azaz to do this, because when you get older, some of this stuff, it's going to be a surprise that age is going to sneak up on you, and all of a sudden you're 50 and you feel like you're 25, but suddenly you look and you're not 25 anymore, and suddenly you're the adult. Isn't that crazy? I'm like the new batch of adults. To me, I was like, wow, that's crazy talk. But here we are. So, that's life, is ever changing, ever evolving. But it's good to always look at, like my grandma would say, she said, you gotta count your blessings, hon. You never know what misfortune's gonna find you tomorrow. I said, well, thanks, Grandma. That's the truth. It's just enjoy what you have right this minute, because it might not be great tomorrow. And she was speaking, of course, more of like how you have loved ones and like they're not there, just to not specifically talking about money, because the money stuff comes and goes. That's life. But people, that's the thing, is to have gratitude for the people that are in your life, because sometimes you think they're always going to be there, and then they're not. So like for me, I think about my dad, and I think, in my mind, I don't think of him as being gone, because sometimes I'll be like, I'll have a car question and I immediately want to think, well, what's my dad going to say about that? And so I just imagine it of like having that conversation, or like I've had dreams where I've talked to him, and it doesn't seem like completely like over. You know what I mean? I think that one looks good. Let's do a little pink on there. Let's give it pink. The other day I showed the kids Bob Ross, and you know what happened? They fell asleep on the couch, like in a dead sleep. And I was like, yes, sleeping the sleep of just right here. This is like how it's done. When you're young, falling asleep to the calming words of Bob Ross talking about happy little trees. I was like, I've got another generation to enjoy that. And then I had a moment of gratitude for YouTube. Some of the stuff you'll never see again, you know, or you may never if someone doesn't upload it. Look at that pink. Is that pretty or what? Ah, you youngin'. My kindred friends, yes. I know. My dream is that we all get together. Wouldn't that be wonderful? If I ever won a million, like $3 million, I would be like, okay, my friends, we're going somewhere. We're all going to go somewhere. And we're going to have the biggest creative explosion the world has ever seen. We're going to be like, Kate, you're coming. Jess, get in here. My friend Diane, Joanne, we're going to get all the sewing machines. We're going to get it. We're going to get it ripping. There's going to be yarn. There's going to be resin, like whatever you can think of. I was like, I'm going to put that out into the universe and manifest that to happen. That's too much pink. Might be a little, I might have gone hog wild with the pink on that one. Might be too much. Wendy says, I have conversations with my mom all the time because I hear exactly what she would have said. Same. I always thought I was goofy like that. But I can perfectly hear my grandma in my head, my grandpa. It's like they're living in there with me. I've got a legion of my ancestors giving me advice. Sometimes not, sometimes I don't want it, but it's what it feels like. They're all sitting there putting in their 2 cents. Not all at once, y'all. Don't think I'm wacky that way, that I'm hearing voices, because I'm not. I'm just saying I could recreate a conversation of what they might have said. I don't actually hear the voices of my ancestors, just to be clear on that. I'm going to leave that. Actually, why not? We'll put a little layer on it. And I just noticed that I have been chit-chatting for full on 20 minutes without noticing that I went over. So that's okay, right? We are having a moment of gratitude for each other, and that's good times. We'll dust some of that pink. Just seal the surface a little bit, just because. It'll be pretty on the back. That's really dry. Wow, if you guys could hear it, I don't know if you can hear it, but the wind is really ripping through the neighborhood. And I was going to take a walk. I like to take a walk at night, sometimes with my poi pods. And it's funny because these gals in the street, I got stopped by one of my neighbors, and they're like, we got some of these because we saw y'all. Because I run around the neighborhood with these things called poi pods. And they're like, it's kind of like fire. Those people that do the fire twisting, it's not fire, it's LEDs. But they can look convincing from a distance to look like fire. So that's my goal. I'm going to try and do that. But I might take off some of this because it's a little candy kingdom, but I kind of love it at the same time. So, oh, Wendy, 60. I wouldn't have put you at 60, Wendy. There, that looks good. That was one that took like 2 minutes. This is the one in, which you like better? The copper? Mom says, my sister passed away back in April, and this will be my first Thanksgiving where we don't at least talk on the phone. It feels weird and sad. Being here right now is for sure healing for me. I agree. Sometimes it's just being with friends is super healing. Even, you know what? I will say this. I've made so many good friends on the internet, even though it sounds crazy. Like this gal, Tracy, it's funny because the one that wrote this book, it's funny because she was married to my ex-husband that I was married to first. And that's how we actually have a relationship. It's because of something that happened. It's kind of negative. It's really negative. And she reached out, and it's weird how we became like instantly friends. And I feel like I know her pretty well. And it's kind of funny. Like, we've never met in real life, never talked on the phone, but like, it's kind of strange that way, isn't it? Like, you can feel like you know somebody and that you have a connection, even though you've never met in real life or even had a conversation. That's like live action. All right, my friends, I'm going to flip this. Clem says, I just turned 68. Time doesn't just fly. It rockets past. Clem, I would not have put you at 68 at all. Oh, Wendy says, copper one looks amazing. Thank you. And Melanie says, no, you're not. Well, to be honest, my spirit thinks it's 20. My mind knows it's 12. And my body is pretty sure it fought in the American Revolution. It's funny. All right, that's cute. Thank you all for commenting and keeping the conversation going. It's so, I just love it. All right, I'm going to flip this. This was fun. I could do this all day long. And in fact, I have. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to keep going. Keep it going here. All right. Get all the new camera equipment out of the way. Oh, this cat, he says, where is my treat? Azalea, where's his treat? He has been a patient boy. You pass that over?
He is good. Look at his face.
Oh, thank you.
Where's
Cecilia
his
says,
collar?
this was wonderful. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you, y'all. I am looking forward to our Friendsgiving. We have 3 or 4 of Greg's friends that don't have family or anything close by, and they're coming over tomorrow. And
well, he's reminding you. He said,
he
hurry
said,
up.
get the show on the road. You missed the first batch. Oh, Zoe, you didn't give me a cup to put this in? Oh, here's one over here. I put these. I have a million of these because I love those pandan puddings. Okay, so he's like, you better put more than 2 in there. But I have to break off a couple more.
Put that paw down. Dang.
You gonna go one at a time? Sometimes he has to do it one at a time. Wendy says, it sure was fun. Big hugs to everyone. And Carolyn says, we could have a painting Zoom class. Yes. Oh, let's see that. Clem wants to see the progress on that hat.
Oh. I've got one fin done.
That's good. That's good. That fin. Check it out, y'all. This is for Greg.
Needs a fin on the other side and then the eyes. Yeah.
See, this is the
then the tail drops down in the back. So yeah, you wear it like that. And then there's eyes in the front. Turn it to the side and show them. Yeah, see the fins. Hey, what is he doing?
He's like, stop messing around.
That was
He loves these.
Some head bonking.
He loves them. So, and then I make a big show of looking at the directions to see how many to feed him. He's really acting like he hasn't eaten. But he ate right before we went on. He was begging me. He said he was super hungry. And you know what happened last night? It was crazy. Azalea said, she goes, what's that sound? All of a sudden. I said, what sound? I don't hear anything. She goes, all right, listen. There were 5 or 6 that I just put in there. He scooped them all in his mouth, and he dropped them on the floor. He totally did a move like he was a hamster. Anyway, isn't that cute? Look at this patterning on the side. You see that? That's all that the color work. Good job. So all she has to do now is the other fin and the eyes. And there's a nice little fish hat. It's pretty cool. Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, he just scooped everything into his mouth. Did you get enough? I don't know. I don't know if he did. Marty, do you want more? Are you done with this? Are you ready? Do you want me to put it away, or what do you think, Azalea? You think he's ready for me to close the package up?
He'll eat. He will eat all of them.
You still want more? He's like, but he makes my hand slimy, so I don't
He
like
really
it.
reached for it. Dang.
He loves it. He is like his favorite thing is these. You know, so,
Oh, that paw just lifted up to catch his chocolate. We all saw that. He just went like this.
Yeah, he kept it in his mouth. He is food motivated.
That was so cute.
He is very food motivated. Oh, Nancy likes your hat. And thank you again, Nancy. Thank you for the treasures. I love them. They have been assimilated into my collection. So I will share with you, Azalea. Don't worry.
What?
But I'm gonna wear this for a minute because it feels right now. This feels super magical to me. And if I want to be 100% goofy, I'll tell you. I was putting it like this. Put on inside, right on the inside, and because amber has this property. I read about it that they make these teething things for babies. There's some compound in the amber itself that's supposed to, like, either uh, get your nervous system to relax or calm down. And I was like, I need both, so why not? Yeah, why not? Sounds good. He's ready for more. Look at his face as I like staring right into the camera. I'm like, honey, are you ready? Or you want? You had several pieces. You had like the limit. You had like 8 pieces already. You think I should put more on my hand? Look at his. He's like, all right. This is what his cat is. Big, heavy. 2 more and that's it. 2
Spoiled.
more. 2. Like, you see, he's acting like he don't eat. Oh man.
He said, "Fix it."
Look
at him looking at you. Dang. Oh, did you see both paws go up trying to catch it and he still missed? Muzzle is too shallow.
Oh, it does work. It works. My eldest used it on her teething babies. It was amazing. I feel like if I have any kind of like, I have my wrists, like this area of my body is all the time stiff because I'm like this all the time. This is my normal position, painting, carving, whatever. And I was wearing it earlier and I'm like, I imagine, this might soothe that. And you know what? It took the edge off of that. I feel like maybe it's in my mind, but you know what? Our mind is our most powerful healer. So that's good, right? It's the amulet. It's the power I gave it. Or it's the power that Nancy gave it and then sent it to me. So thank you for sending this healing power to me, Nancy. All right, my friends, thanks for hanging out with us today. It was a good time. And I like that talk, Caroline, about let's get the Zoom thing. That's on our things to do. I think after things calm down with Big Crafty and Yalla Day, which is in Big Crafty is beginning of December, first weekend. And then Yalla Day is right on the heels. And those are really big craft shows that we have coming up and we're really excited about. So if you're a local, come and see us. I know Connie Pasternak, you will have a booth set up also downtown Asheville. So if you come to Asheville and say you're like, Big Crafty's a good time. Well, there's also another show. The Uncommon Market is also going to be downtown. So you can hit both that weekend. I mean, how good is that? There's so many good places to eat. Asheville has a lot of good places to eat. That's a fact. So, and drink. There's lots of good new beverage places that are opening up that are completely non-alcoholic. So that's good news. All right, my friends. I see, Wendy, you'll have a relaxing Friendsgiving. I'll be packing and flying back to Wisconsin bright and early Friday. Oh, good. You'll be going the other direction. It's good times. But traveling on the holidays for me is a no-go. All right, my friends, thank you so much. And I hope everyone has a wonderful feast day tomorrow. And we love you out there, and we hope you're doing good. We're going to turn in, and by turn in, I'm going to clean the house. That's what that means. All right, friends.